guitar strap, and so yeah. I'm going to do something talking about fear. I think fear is basically a real problem in our society today. People try and push fear to the backs of their minds and pretend that it's not there, but as much as you try and ignore it, it's there. So here's a little something about the beast of fear, and I'm really happy that there's so many people. Last night, I climbed a mountain. To the peak I did ascend. Huffing and puffing, I trudged around the twists and bends. Now, this might sound quite simple to you. Climbing a mountain? Really? You silly soul, don't exaggerate. It was probably just a steep hill, a cheap thrill, a way to claim a simple feat. But in fact, this was quite the mountain, unlike any you've ever seen. Unlike any mountain you've ever seen, I assure you that it was mean. And when I say that the mountain was mean, you may think that I'm only personifying things in order to get a point across, but no, I assure you, my reasoning is reasonable, for it was not the mountain of which I speak that had a mean streak, but the protector of it, the beast of which I speak. A beastly creature of no earthly likes that descended down from the heavenly skies. It was a sight for sore eyes, could make the dead rise, all the while resembling just a trembling little blur. It was hard to tell if it was an illusion, a disillusion, a ghost, or a ghoul. All I knew was that it was coming for me, trying to call me a fool. This creature circled round and round my dizzy head, each time around making eye contact with me and saying, "Silly girl, go back to bed. You will never climb this mountain. You will never make it to the top, not as long as I exist. For you do not deserve to know what lies at the top of the mountain." Oh, a feeling of dismay, a lump in my throat, a brick of disarray. The silly words of this still sillier creature washed over me like a tidal wave, pulling me under, constricting me with all its might and all its fight and its delusional right to tell me where I can and can't plant my feet, where I can and can't sow my seed. But it was then that I realized what I had to do. Why had I not thought of it before? So simple, mindless, natural, and pure, no negative intentions, only true admissions into the depths of the law of attraction. See, you can't fight fire with fire, but you can certainly watch it burn out with patience and observance. But the fire is persistent as it starts to dwindle. It will smoke in your eyes and burn your nostrils, screaming, feed me, or I will die." But you must stand still and firm in the pursuit of your cry of wisdom and truth in the ever-expanding universe, for these are the enemies of the beast. So in this whirl of spiraling thoughts, I managed to plant my hands and feet. I looked at the beast, and I told it quite calmly that I accepted and I acknowledged it, but I would not follow its path. I would not walk in its shoes, and I would certainly not submit to its belaying wrath. For a moment, there was confusion, a spark of disbelief, but this was only temporary, only very brief. For the creature, he began to sway and wiggle back and forth until he couldn't take it anymore. He let out a most piercing cry, a startling but somehow surrendering sigh. And suddenly, I found myself at the top of the mountain on a high peak, a high streak, a permanent breath in and out. And from my being to yours. So rejoice, we have so much to live for. Our existence is persistent and every soul is free to be as he wishes to be. Congratulations, you have acquired the key to see as you truly desire to be. The creature is conquered. Fellow humans, rest assured that the fiery light is near. Rest assured, and with great ease, for we have conquered the beast of fear. Woo!
Woo!
I've really been feeling in my life, and a message that I feel like I want to spread as much as possible. So here it goes. When I was just a little girl, I had a pretty serious thing for walking straight up to strangers, wrapping my tiny arms around them and embracing them in giant hugs, encasing them in avalanches of affection. I remember seeing their eyes light up and feeling their hearts pour out love and joy, thoroughly mixed in with a lot of confusion as they felt this tiny stranger make what they could only perceive as an otherworldly connection with them. My mother, as you can imagine, was not always so happy about this. Megan, she would say, "You're going to get kidnapped one of these days." But on I would continue, driven forward purely by my blind faith in humanity. When I was just a wee child, I remember always singing my heart out to absolutely anyone who I thought would listen. And usually, it wasn't very hard for me to find people who would. Everyone would always stare at me all starry, wide-eyed, as if I were the earth, and I just started spinning gracefully in the wrong direction. When I was small, I remember being in awe of myself and of others. I would study the lines on my tiny palms, and sometimes I would envision them as miniature solar systems, each point somehow connecting to every other point and intersecting in silent explosions. I remember thinking of each person as one of those beautiful moths that I always saw flying around the street like just at dusk. I noticed after a while that no two ever had the same markings on their wings or flapped them in quite the same way, although some very similar, but that each one was ultimately in search of the same light. When they would find it, they would dance around it together in a symphony of playfulness and delight. I also noticed that each one was equally tripped up to realize that no, that light was not actually the sun, that it was only a fake, and that we must try again. I saw time and time again how some seemed to coast with the breeze, gently and with ease, and how others seemed to try and fly against it. I saw how some flew so dangerously close to the open flame but never got too close, and how some seemed to fly directly into it only to be zapped down by it. But despite all this fluttering confusion, I also managed to realize how they would dance with one another, how they would move so gracefully in and out of the same space, but how they would never actually touch. And nowadays, as I guess you could say a larger child, I look back on these observations and I wonder, why is it that we choose to just flutter on past one another? Why is it that our interactions seemingly continue to bump heads with distance and skepticism? If I can truly see you, why do I feel like you can't truly see me? Although you could probably describe to me in great detail the color of my hair, the pattern on my dress, the way that my walk contains just a little bit of bouncy optimism, and the way that my swagger contains a lot of swag, I still often feel invisible, like an insider looking in from the outside, like the audience of the world's most beautiful and surreal movie played on the largest screen ever to exist, because when people look at me, it is not the real me that they see. The real me exists in some highly connected parallel universe that's buried just below the surface, and if you only dug a little bit deeper, I'll bet that you can find it. It is my presence, my present to you, and all you must do is open your arms wide enough to receive it, because I long to connect with you, truly connect, not just to flutter and fly away. I want to entangle my antennas with yours and fill the spaces between each one of your fingers with glue, and then with my own fingers, so that we are bound together, because my heart is your heart and my voice is yours too, and now more than ever is the time for that to be known, because I want so badly to connect, to inspire each one of you to connect with each other. It's what I strive for, all I want from life, no less and no more. I would gladly fling open the doors to my heart for each one of you, saying, welcome, please come in. All that I would ask is that you do not slend in my face. So I request, no, I demand for our silly robot switches to be deactivated. I'm starting a mental petition, and you best sign it. Send me your present, and please accept mine, although it may be a little bit quirky. Cut the hi, how are you, and have a good day, unless you really mean it. And please, if you don't have anything authentic to say, don't say anything at all, because this life is too meaningful for us to just flutter on past one another.